Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Cooper Kupp is on the block, they say. What is your read on that situation? Like the LA Rams, since winning the Super Bowl, have become a garage sale, a flea market, a yard sale. That's what they are. What are your thoughts on Cooper Kupp being dealt?
Well, the yard sale began with Andrew Whitworth retiring after the Super Bowl. A few years later, Aaron Donald retires. They had to get a new receiver in Puka Nacua. He sets a record and now becomes wide receiver one. And who is left out of all this? It's Cooper Kupp, who was wide receiver one when they drafted him out of Eastern Washington. And he hasn't been the same since that Super Bowl year. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that he's on the block. In fact, this Rams team, after, in essence, buying a Super Bowl in 2021, are going to sell off every piece, including 36-year-old Matthew Stafford, and they're going to try to build this thing, quote unquote, the right way. Problem is, you're already in history as a Super Bowl champion, so there's nowhere to go for the Rams, and we're seeing it, but down.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Oleg in Winnipeg writes in, says, Rod is fighting so hard. My awesome comments. One day I'll win him over for one. Well, at least you're now speaking in first person. The fact that you've been writing in third person for several years, I refuse to read your comments in third person. So that's why, Oleg, if you spoke like a normal person, I'd read your comment. How about that?
How about that? This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to love today's show, everybody, especially the start, okay? Because we have no moose right off the start. That's one. For two, it's Thanksgiving here in America. So happy Thanksgiving to all of our American viewers and to those that observe, if you celebrate. Number three, I'm the only one in the building. This entire office tower, I'm the only one in it. Nobody's working. So I'm going to be ringing the hell out of that bell. It's usually for breaking news and exciting comments, so hopefully we have a lot of those. Yeah, buddy. And then John Ohm, where are you at? Oh, John Ohm. I won't be quieting the bell. I'm the only one in here today. And if that changes, they'll probably come knock on the door. But yeah, and there's no Moose because he was having a meeting this morning with the big, high-up Game Plus TV execs. He's going to be with us shortly. I won't ask him while we're on the air how that all went. What I know is we're the number one talk show on Game Plus television. That's what I know. Not the number one show. That goes to Cash Cab. Different story, different time. We don't have time here. Moose will be here shortly. Clark, do you want to throw it? Producer Clark's here. Is Ryan directing, by the way? Is Ryan here?
Bingo.
Is that who I heard? Yeah. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please? Director Ryan, will you get that out of the way? We had some big-time guests today. Jeff Marek, who has joined the Daily Faceoff. He's got a new show called The Sheet. Jeff Marek will be with us in hour one, and Jason Gregor in hour two. There you go. Happy USA Thanksgiving. Thanks, John, or as they say here in America, Thanksgiving. How about this guy, Scott White, who shows up from Vancouver? Clark, if you can find his comment, he goes, sorry, I'll be watching football. Then get the hell out of here. What kind of jackwagon show? Sorry, I'm going to be watching football, not your show. You show up here to say that, crap on the show, and then leave. What are you, a pigeon? Okay, so thanks for trying to ruin our date. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. And by the way, I'm wearing a Dolphins gear because the Dolphins are in action tonight as the NFL saves the best for last for this Turkey Day triple header. Serena and I have started a very nice Thanksgiving tradition, and that is going to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Can't normally afford to go, but they do a really nice turkey meal Thanksgiving Day. And I will guarantee you, I won't be the only one wearing Dolphins gear in the Ruth's Chris here in Boca Raton, Florida. But I stopped in there the other day to confirm the reservation. I said, what is your dress code here, by the way? Ruth's Chris. It's like one of the most hoity-toity steakhouses chains in America. They said, well, as it says on the wall, don't wear a hat. Other than that, we're good. So that's how far the standards have fallen with dress codes across America. I got some good stuff to get to. I got to stop Mickey Mousing. And I'm going to jump around because it's just me, no Moose. I don't have to stay in order. Can you hit the quick six show horn again, please, Director Ryan, just for fun? Thanks, Rocco. And I want to ring this bell because I'm the only one in the damn building today. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade kicked off today in New York City with a steady rain, adding ponchos and umbrellas to the lineup of balloons, floats, and star-studded performances. The annual holiday tradition features new Spider-Man and Minnie Mouse balloons, zoo and pasta-themed floats, performances from Jennifer Hudson and Idina Menzel, and more. Or is it Idina Menzel? I've never heard of her. There were also 21 protesters arrested. So, what do you got, Clark? Is Moose here? Never heard of her. Okay. She's huge in the Disney world. Oh, she's Elsa from Frozen. That means nothing to me. What I also learned this morning is that Mariah Carey is apparently the queen of Christmas.
Bingo!
When did this all happen? I was too busy watching sports. Alexander Barkov and Carter Verhaeghe had power play goals. Sam Reinhart had a shorty, and the Florida Panthers whipped the Leafs 5-1 in Sunrise here last night. So everybody's good, and everything's good in Pantherland. I'll tell you this. I manifested, I want to be the Florida hockey guy, and it's become that. And now these Panthers fans are writing me, and some Lightning fans, but mostly Florida Panthers fans because we live here. And they're like, we should have never doubted you. I said this swoon is a blip. The Panthers had lost 4 in a row, 6 of their last 7. And then they whipped the first place Toronto Maple Leafs last night. I'll come back on some other thoughts on the game in a second, but all is good today in Pantherland. Brian Rust had 2 goals and an assist to help Pittsburgh beat Vancouver 5-4. Lucas Raymond scored a power play goal to 3:35 of overtime, and Detroit beat Calgary 4-3 at Little Caesars Arena. From what I understand, the Flames had too many men on the ice in overtime. That's what led to the power play for Detroit. Anybody that's watching the show right now that's a Flames fan, can you tell me if you're upset about that or not? Nick Suzuki scored 44 seconds into overtime, and the Montreal Canadiens beat Columbus 4-3, snapping a two-game skid. I'm bouncing through the games, including Canadian teams. This one was not a Canadian team, but Taylor Hall scored his 5th career hat trick. Canabadad, Tuevo Teravainen, and Louis Previer also scored. And Chicago beat Dallas 6-2 for their second 3 games. Bedard's goal was his first in 13 games. So we always give you the Connor Bedard news first. And David Reddick made 13 saves in his 100th career victory, and Captain Anze Kopitar had a goal and an assist in LA's 4-1 victory over NHL-leading Winnipeg. It was a very head-spinning night of the National Hockey League with 15 games, and just so you know, I picked 9 of them correctly, and Moose just 3. So I'm just throwing that in there. I won the breakaway bet segment where we do sport betting. If you're new to this program, we pick the games, we bet on them, but we don't put money on it. I think it could catch on, just not with the betting companies because it doesn't pay a lot. Sport betting. Moving on to point 2. We'll come back on all of this. 4 nations face-off rosters will be declared next week. At this point, we have no idea who Canada's goalies will be, let alone who's going to be the number 1 netminder. So in today's poll for EMJ Marketing, it is who should be Canada's starting goaltender in the 4 Nations Cup. Vegas's Adam Hill, the Blues' Jordan Bennington, Montreal's Sam Montembeault, or other. Somebody that we haven't even thought of or necessarily heard of, really. Brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. Now, I want to point out that on Twitter, the last I saw, Adin Hill of the Vegas Golden Knights was leading that poll on Twitter by quite a bit. And that's who I would vote for, Adin Hill of Vegas. But, Clark, do you have a body of work on YouTube, for instance, that Who's leading the poll on YouTube? Do you have it handy? Hello? Okay. Jordan Bennington's leading that poll with 44%. So we can't even, as a country, agree on who the hell we think should be starting in goal. As I said yesterday, I'll bring it up again if you weren't watching. Let's just call Kelly McCrimmon in Vegas and say, Crim, who should we start? Okay? Thanks. Probably going to say his guy, Aiden Hill, won a Stanley Cup with him, and I would go with what Crim says. Ryan O'Media checking in. Ryan O'Media from the Radio Penitentiary says, Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. From WQEE, WVEQ, WZZV, and WZEV. Happy Thanksgiving, Ryan. Love you. Ted in Red Deer writes it. He says, did I hear that right? Big save Dave only needed 13 saves to beat the Jets. Wow. Yeah. Brenton Wellington, Florida checks in. He says, how you think the Capitals goalie is feeling this morning? LOL. Well, they won last night, 5-4, right? Moving on. Other than to say hour one of the program is brought to you by Culligan Water. Drink clean, live green, filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. By the way, I was told Moose will be with us 5 to 10 minutes into the show. We're already almost 10 minutes into the show. No Moose. But I'm used to it. And like I told you, oh, there he is. Speak of the devil, they're calling you a devil, Moose. Right on the dime. And you're honoring a bet today? Look at us NFL guys. Look at us, man. Explain why you're wearing the All You Need Is Love T-shirt for the Green Bay Packers.
There you go. Now you can take a quick look. It was a bet with Brent in Florida. He's a Packers fan. The Titans played the Packers. I think it was week 3 of the year. And sure enough, the Packers dominated. So he shipped me out the Cheesehead and the Jordan Love shirt. And I told him, you know what? They're going to play on U.S. Thanksgiving, so I'll wear it on U.S. Thanksgiving. And I'll cheer for the Packers today.
Good for you, Guy, against the Miami Dolphins. So if you don't mind, Moose, I'm going to throw in some comments from the Elaterra Skincare text line, 902-518-3033. Where do we start? Remember yesterday I said, hey, if you're watching in the 306 from Sask, shoot me a note. Brad Tate writes in from Shonovan, Sask. He says, hey, guys, just calling in from the 306, and my Bruins, well, they suck. That's from Tater in Shonovan. I had a lot of people that were watching the replay later in the day texting me. My phone was going off hours after we'd done the show. I mean, you're watching the replay, not the live show, but thanks for writing in. Renee is a new viewer, Darren, in Toronto. Actually, I think it's Rennie. And he says, you jinxed my Devils by picking the Blues last night. I'm mad at you. And he says, I hope you talk PWHL on Friday. For those that don't know, Professional Women's Hockey League. I would say, Rennie, don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. There's enough newspapers and stations talking Professional Women's Hockey League. If you're going to tune in hoping for that, I don't want to hurt your feelings. Probably not going to happen. Noni in Calgary writes in, and she says, hey, Rod, loving the great mood you're in today. Let's have some fun. I've been away, so I was missing your show, but happy to be back watching you on Facebook. Enjoy celebrating Thanksgiving. You see, I got this balloon here from Publix. Have a little deal.
Yeah.
Publix here on Spanish River Boulevard. It's just across the street, Spanish River Boulevard. I go in there, and I buy their decorations off them for $5. So Halloween, Thanksgiving, I guess Christmas is coming up. Can I buy one of those balloons? They're like absolutely $5. And it just dresses the setup well, right, Darren? Now, moving on, if you don't mind, to the National Football League. 3 NFL games are on deck for American Thanksgiving today. Serena finds it hilarious that Canadians refer to it as American Thanksgiving. I'm like, well, Canadians have to because we have our own, right, in October. But in the States, it just blows their mind. I want your take on the games today. The 10-1 Detroit Lions look for a 10th win in a row with the Chicago Bears visiting town. Interesting to note, they've lost 8 Thanksgiving games in a row. Detroit. On this day, But overall, they're 10-1, and they've won 9 games in a row this season. Dallas Cowboys host the New York Jets after getting their first win in 6 games last week in Washington. And later, the Miami Dolphins go for a 4th consecutive victory in Green Bay, but the 8-3 Packers have won 2 in a row. Do you see an upset in any of these games today?
Hard to say because, especially in the Green Bay Miami game, I honestly don't know who should be favored in that game. Probably Green Bay because Miami is going on the road, and they were asking Mike McDaniel, "What are you going to do to get your guys ready for the cold of Lambeau Field?" I don't know what the weather is today. I haven't had a chance to look. He's like, "I don't know. Maybe I'll throw ice cubes at them while they're practicing. It's about all we can do." But that might be the one because I can see the Dolphins going on the road and playing well and upsetting Green Bay.
Okay, my guy.
I would say Green Bay by 3.5 is probably the line.
Okay. I have the technology. Green Bay, Wisconsin. Wisconsin, we going to go Celsius here?
Yeah.
-1 Celsius today. I don't know what that works out to in Fahrenheit.
That's a 30-degree temperature swing for the Dolphins.
Well, and here's the thing, dude. It's a little I'm not sure what's more nauseating. Brent, you from Wellington, Florida, tell me the answer, what you think. Is it the media whining about the Dolphins season being over and they're losing, or the fact that now they think they're going to the Super Bowl because they've won a couple in a row? Can you pick one? It's a little like, Darren, did you watch the Leafs and Panthers last night, or were you busy?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll get into that after the break, but I'm sitting there in the press box. Thank you, Panthers. They treat us so great. My lovely Serena's beside me, and she's upset at some mental gaffes that the Leafs were making. And she's like, "Hey, I can see why Leafs fans get so mad." I'm like, Serena, nobody plays at 100%. Mistakes happen. The up and down of the Leaf Nation is very similar to the Dolphin Nation, almost in a way the Cowboys. It's freaking exhausting. So for me, I don't see any upsets today of the 3 in the NFL, but I don't think there's any doubt the best is saved for last tonight, the Dolphins and the Green Bay Packers. Now we're going to break, and when we come back, Brent in Wellington, Florida says Tua is 0-11 if the weather is below freezing. Thank you for putting me on track, Brent, getting me back on track. That's the talk here. Can Tua finally get it done in the cold? -1 Celsius is what they feel is cold, and I get it. But Noni in Calgary wrote in, and she's like, "I love the mood that you're in, Rod. Why wouldn't I be? It's plus 27 degrees Celsius where I live." It's Thanksgiving. We're going to Ruth's Chris for supper. We got an NFL triple header. Yeah. And I laugh because, a few years ago, people were like, "He's lost his mind." Sure, I'm nuts. I'm crazy that I want to live in a tropical location and cover an NHL team. Nuts. Let's go with that. And when we come back, a couple things I want to talk about. We're going to get to the Alouettes moving on from Cody Fajardo. There is a murmur, Darren, of people going, this lack of loyalty in the CFL is kind of turning me off, And I want your take on that and the viewers. And also the amount of Canadians that I'm seeing going to NFL games. I had a chat with our friend Jeff, the hotelier to the Stars, this morning. He's one of those guys. He came down and watched his Vikings in Jacksonville. He's Canadian a couple weeks ago. Should the CFL be worried about that? I would think they should. But I find that they don't worry about things until long after they've already happened. And then it's playing. You're in a trail position. You ain't never going to catch it. So it's U.S. Thanksgiving. So I say happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We're happy that the Moose is honoring his bet. And it's big fun today here on Game Plus Television. Live streaming on YouTube and, of course, podcasts wherever the best podcasts are.
sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Gorgeous day here in South Florida, and sports fans, there's nothing we love more than a comeback. In the game against wrinkles, scars, and acne, it's never too late to revitalize your skin with Alaterra Naturals. Check us out at alaterra.com and use promo code RP20 for 20% off your first order. The Moose is here, which means the gang's all here, and it feels good. And before we jump into the CFL news, you said, hey, you've switched. Nice. You
try to get a
I
better
like the greenery around you. I like the greenery around you. So you watched the Leafs game last night. Now, let's remember something. We all watch things from our own perspective. So I was watching it from a Panthers perspective. And I welcome any Panthers fans that are watching their opinion, including Brent from Wellington, Florida, that was there. Panthers were in control from the start. I didn't like this, if you noticed, Darren, because you're watching it from a Leafs perspective. But Matthew Tkachuk drills a guy from behind in front of the benches, takes an interference penalty in the first period. Skates to the crease, elbows Anthony Stolarz in the head, takes a goaltender interference. Like, just stupid stuff, man. And, but they won a Stanley Cup. And I'm not, listen, I do a show on the Panthers and the Lightning, so I'm not dumping on them. And I don't like how much they dive. I don't like the way Tkachuk plays. I can see why he's hated. And you can say, well, if he's on your team, you'd love him. Yeah, maybe. But I will say when they get into the playoffs, they do stop that style of play. It's like flipping a switch. You wouldn't think most teams can't do that, but the Panthers do. They don't totally agree with how they play, but you can't argue with the results. That's what I saw from a Panthers perspective. What did you see from a Leafs perspective last night?
Yeah, you can't. And, the Leafs struggled to really maintain any zone time, to get pucks in and do a lot of things. And Mitch Marner, I think it was Marner after the game, he's like, well, we're missing half our guys up front, like high-end guys in our top six. And that's significant for sure. But Florida was the better team last night, clearly. And especially the way they started the game at home. I thought that was really impressive. You're at home. You're playing against a good team. You hadn't been playing that well, and you came out and you had a great 10 to 15 minutes of that first period. I thought was really important for Florida last night.
Big time. And since you're here, before we get into that CFL thing, your thoughts on who you think should start for Canada in the Four Nations face-off. It's scary that there is no consensus number one, but here we are.
There isn't. And you go with the hot hand. Jordan Binnington, picked up the record, sets now the all-time record for wins by a Blues goaltender. Probably is the front runner. But I'm kind of going with Logan Thompson maybe as being a guy who I wouldn't mind seeing in the crease. Washington, he's played really well. The Caps are having this great start to the season. I think he's a big reason for it. And I could see him working his way onto this team and maybe even playing.
For the people that are watching that will understand this, and for those that don't, you never will, but Logan Thompson is another former Brandon Wheat King who came to Washington via Vegas. It's a Kelly McCrimmon thing. That's why I say, let's call Kelly McCrimmon, the general manager of the Golden Knights, and just say, Crim, who should we play? I don't even know why he's not the general manager. I don't know. He should be. But I do remember NHL media when Krim was on the radar of either the Oilers or the Golden Knights were going to hire him. Remember that 10 years ago? And I saw NHL media that I thought I respected going, well, who is this Kelly McCrimmon guy? Why is he so sought after? I'm like, you cover the NHL and you don't know that? He's the Glenn Sather of junior hockey. But I also realized here in South Florida, Darren, there's a lot of NFL media that don't know anything about college football. They don't follow it, and they damn sure don't follow high school football. So it's just not their thing. And that's totally fine. But people wonder why I'm into certain things now that I wasn't before. Not enough room for everything up here. Sorry, there just isn't. Point 4, the Montreal Alouettes have signed quarterback Davis Alexander to a 3-year contract, a move that locks up a player looked upon to become the face of the franchise. The 26-year-old Alexander was set to become a free agent in February. Now, stick with me, not you, but everybody. You know where I'm going with this. Alexander had a breakout season in the CFL in 2024, posting a 5-0 record, filling in for Cody Fajardo, who was hurt. Fajardo, my favorite football player on the planet, was the MVP of Montreal's Grey Cup win just a year ago, 2023. He's under contract for next year. And while the Alouettes have not made a decision on Fajardo's future, the quarterback has said he wants to be in a situation where he is the clear number one. Machocha's comments, the general manager of the Alouettes, Danny Machocha, indicate that that would not be the case in Montreal. So once again, Cody Fajardo is looking for a place to play, it would appear, just 12 months after leading Montreal to a Grey Cup and being named the MVP of the game. I talked about this yesterday, but it's in the headlines again today. I gave my thoughts yesterday. I'll briefly give them again. Once you go through this stuff, it's not as big of a crisis anymore, the more you go through it. So Cody will find a place to play, or he won't. I think a bigger thing, Darren, is this is where I want your opinion. I've seen people on Facebook, specifically our Facebook page, saying, I'm getting turned off by the lack of loyalty in the CFL. This is a joke. And I never thought about it that way. I need to examine that a little bit. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, the lack of loyalty, I mean, it's an interesting conversation because it does suck on the outset. But it's not necessarily the team's fault because you got to do what's best for your team. And when better comes around, you need to make sure you're upgrading, and winning is what matters to the team. But in terms of the overall brand and in terms of growing the game, you need to have some familiarity and some attachment. Like, Aaron Rodgers isn't really Aaron Rodgers. We close our eyes and think of Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers in his Packers helmet because he was there for so long. Brady and the Patriots and all the rest. And yeah, a little bit at the end we see him attached to the Bucks, and he won a Super Bowl there, and that matters. But you'd built something really good in Montreal with Cody Fajardo, and you'd won a Grey Cup, and then you had this great year overall in the regular season. Yeah, it didn't work out at the end like you hoped, but it worked out pretty well. Jason Moss is going to have a lot to do with this too. They paid some good money to Davis Alexander, but what does Jason Moss want? That's what I want to know. Who's Jason Moss's quarterback? Because your coach has to believe in the guy under center for your team to have success.
And that's why I want to point out this is not just a Canadian Football League thing. And a reminder to everybody that's watching in America, we are on national television in Canada. You and the 32 U.S. states that have picked us up, you're just lucky to get it. We're a Canadian show. But as far as the loyalty goes, we are in an era, I don't know when people are going to understand this. We're in an era of do what's best for you. End of story. I'm not sure. I feel like I'm talking to Brent from Wellington, Florida, or like he's here. His photo is right over my shoulder. That's us holding that 40-pound sailfish. Maybe business has always been that way, or maybe it's just now. I don't know. Sports and business are different. They're not the same. But it's like, hey, this doesn't work for us anymore. Does it work for you? Yeah, it still does. Okay, we have a spot for you. It doesn't work for me anymore. Okay, thanks for your time. Goodbye. None of this is personal is what I'm getting at with Cody Fajardo. It's not like they don't like Cody. We talked earlier about David Riddick backstopping the LA Kings to a win last night over the Jets. I went and looked. I was like, where is he now? Up until this year, David Riddick, Big Save Dave, played for 5 NHL teams in 5 years. And that's just one guy. So it's not just a CFL thing. Teams are switching jerseys. Now, follow me, everybody. And Darren does. He's good at that. Extrapolate it or bring it down to you. What's best for you? Because the fans are going, I'm getting turned off by this. Well, what's best for you? Do you want to keep being a CFL fan or not? I think you're turned off because you like Cody Fajardo. And guess what? So do I. But that kind of dovetails into what is best for you as a fan. Does this make the CFL look Mickey Mouse and you don't want to follow them anymore? Because every league's doing it. And that's the next point I wanted to bring up, Darren, is I said I see all these Canadian, traditionally CFL fans coming to NFL games in America. I can name them if you want. Jeff Pearson, Peanut Butter Pete, Stacey Champagne, all friends of mine. I see it because I follow them on social media. I'm Facebook friends with them. It seems more than ever. And I don't know why that is, because that's something the CFL should be worried about. I don't even know if there's anything they could do about it. What do you think?
It is a big deal. And when we think about those U.S. trips, it's a trip, it's a destination, it's an event. You're going down and you're going to be a part of it all, and the tailgate, and you hear all about it. And it's something we don't normally get. And I don't think there's enough of that in the Canadian Football League. Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver. Those are world-class cities, right? The 3 big ones. Calgary's great, Edmonton. They're all great. Winnipeg, Regina, they're all have things to go for. But you have some of these world-class cities in our country. And I don't think there's enough. It's not enough of a culture right now in the CFL of, I got to go on the road and watch my team play in Vancouver and play in Montreal, and all that goes around with it, because we don't have the tailgates and we don't have the big things and we don't talk about the game day experience outside of how great the actual football game is. I think if we build that up a little bit more, maybe we can make it more of a destination for traveling fans. That would be awesome.
Well, you quite often hear me talk about Mike Florio. I listen to him every morning. Listen to him today. Pro Football Talk, carried on NBC Sports Radio. And he was saying last week's game, Cleveland-Pittsburgh, in the snow in Cleveland, he was like, that's the way football was meant to be played, in a snow globe, blah, blah, blah. Now, ask the players, bro. No, it's not. And by the way, you're sitting in a press box, heated. I've been in those shoes. It's not comfortable to sit outside in the cold. It's not. And football was not meant to be played. Whoever said that never played it in the winter. So that's the one thing I think coming to America now, you're getting a hot destination. You're getting the stars. Patrick Mahomes, Tua, Dak Prescott in Dallas. And just now more than ever. And I just wondered if the CFL is paying attention to that. And before we break, we'll get to more your questions in a second here. John Ohm Oh, I could go on forever. He says, today's world is the me culture. What's good for me? It is. So how are we going to react to that? Bomber Boy says, 1-year deals. They are what they are. Too many football multi-year contracts have no guaranteed money. Unlike hockey, basketball, baseball, etc. Yes, for sure. Brent, yeah, we got a break there, and we'll pick this up in hour 2. We got a hot one going. Thanks for racing back and joining us, Moose. I appreciate it, man. Take a break. I'm excited to welcome Jeff Marek next with a very exciting new venture. From the Daily Faceoff this sheet, Jeff Marek is up next on the RP Show on this U.S. Thanksgiving edition of the RP Show on the Game Plus television network, streaming live, and, of course, podcast, wherever the best podcasts are found.
Skate into the holiday season with the Stars. Stars on Ice 2024 Holiday Tour. With figure skating icon Elvis Stoico, Olympic medalist Caitlin Osmond, Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poche, Keegan Messing, Satoko Miyahara, and more. Stars on Ice. Coming to Moose Jaw Event Center December 20th. Unwrap your tickets at starsonice.ca.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
RP Show continues. As sports fans, there's nothing we love more than a comeback in the game against wrinkles, scars, and acne. It's never too late to revitalize your skin with Elaterra Naturals. They bring you the Elaterra Skincare text line. Numbers on the screen, 902-518-3033. Use the promo code RP20 for 20% off your first order at Elaterra.com. Gentleman Jeff Marek joins us now, a guy that we've been trying to get on the air for a long time. But there's an old one, eh, Jeff? How you doing, big
Ron,
guy?
that takes me back. I'm doing great. It's always that, we're always sort of competing in time slots. And I'd be like, oh man, I really want to do the RP show. It's like the coolest looking show, coolest sounding show. So this is kind of like, I don't know, like podcast fantasy camp a little bit for me, rather I get to finally be on. And by the way, I felt very Canadian this morning. Today, I always put it off way too late, but we're supposed to have like a big, I don't know, a snowstorm here where I live, but I know the snow is coming. So this morning I got up early with my brother-in-law and put the backyard rink together. So I'm very proud of myself. And I checked a box on my Canada card today. How's that?
How about that?
Way to go, man. Yeah. Well, there aren't too many of those here, as you know, in South Florida. But Jeff Marek, a man of many, many, many talents, many, many things. They call it, some call it the ODR. Okay, stop. You lost me at outdoor rink. How big is it? What's it all about? Tell me. You got boards? Tell me.
It's been So I got to know a guy by the name of Jim Stoller not too long ago, and he runs a company called Nice Rink. I was on NHL Network Radio once, and I was talking about backyard rinks, and I just used to make a rink out of like 2x4s. Like that was it. So my kids were really, really young, just for learning how to skate and shoot pucks and practice their empty net goals. I have this company. I run this company. This is what we do. Can I send you essentially a rink in a box? And so 16, I guess. So it's been pretty turnkey, pretty awesome. The rink sort of changes every year a little bit. This year, I think my kids are a little bit older. So it might, Rod, just be a glorified shooting pad for them. It's going to be probably 40 by 55, 56. I think when I finally get the tape measure out there. So not enough for 2-on-2, which the kids used to play, but good enough to get out there and, work on playing crossbars.
Yeah, and basically as big as you could make it, as much as you had space for.
That's it.
It is cool.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So tell me about the sheet and the daily face-off. There's a lot of roads we can go down here. Your latest venture sounds really cool. Tell me, please.
It's a lot of fun. Thanks for giving me the airspace to do it. So it's a daily show. It's on 3:00 Eastern on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. Afterwards, gets uploaded to your favorite podcatcher, your Apple Pods, your Spotifys, etc. And it kind of sits in an interesting point of the day, Rod, in that it's too late to really get into the nuts and bolts of what happened to the power play and how goofy was that score between Ottawa and San Jose, where Ottawa barely got double-digit shots and somehow managed to beat the San Jose Sharks, who I think put 30 on Ottawa's net. So you're probably past the point of discussing that, but still maybe a little bit too early to start to get into the nuts and bolts of what's going to happen that evening. So what it does, though, it affords you the luxury of figuring out what the big power topic of the day is. I mean, you've done this for years. What's the big power topic of the day? What's the juicy headline? The one that's not just about the nuts and bolts of what's happening in the NHL on the ice, but what are the sort of overarching issues that sort of fuel the question, how does this work? So that's going to be the job every day. I mean, it's going to be like guests and guest hosts, et cetera. But essentially what we're trying to do every day is figure out what is the power topic of the day and go in as deep and wide as we can. How's that?
Yeah, well, good for you. And if you haven't found out already, you will. It is the perfect time of day, I think, to do all the things that you just said. But I got to ask you about what Sean Hogan, college hockey executive, the executive director of College Hockey Inc., said on this show earlier this week. The NCAA's decision to welcome all junior hockey players, all of them, Tier 1, Tier 2, however you want to say it, was the most landmark, historic change in college hockey history. I know you're all over it. I'm finding with my followers, and I'm a career junior hockey guy, as you know, they don't really understand. I'm like, how do you not know about this or how big it is? What's your take on it happening?
Well, you're right. And there's no way to blow this thing out of proportion, because this has changed everything. This has changed the entire development model in Canada and the United States, and in Europe as well. We can get there if you want, because I think you're going to see a lot more Europeans going to the CHL now than ever before. Certainly the ones that have college aspirations. But what this has done is, it's, first of all, on the one hand, it's ended the war. It's ended the CHL versus NCAA war. So, like, how many? It's so weird now, right, Rod? Like, I'll talk to people. Like, I was just at the CHL USA games in London and Oshawa last night, and it's the spirit of cooperation and understanding between the two sides that have spent decades, just hurling, insults at one another as you try to sell their program. Now, all of a sudden, it's kumbaya and everyone's getting along, which is great for the players. Like, at the end of all this is great for the players. Are there going to be some leagues that get caught up in the gears of history? Absolutely. I think we wonder what happens to the USHL through all of this, what happens to the BCHL through all of this, what happens to those leagues, what do they become, do teams peel off? There are discussions in the Ontario Hockey League. I can tell you, I reported this about a month and a half ago. Youngstown, Muskegon have both expressed interest in leaving the USHL and joining the Ontario Hockey League. Last week there was a meeting in the OHL, and that was those two teams were agenda items, that discussion. So that is still very much alive. But essentially, for all your listeners and viewers, the concept is quite simple. It's a redefinition of what a CHL player is in the eyes of NCAA. And what NCAA always looked at when it came to major junior hockey in Canada, they always looked at them as professional athletes, because they play games against players who have NHL contracts. And if you do that, you're no longer deemed amateur, you're deemed professional. We saw football go through this. Listen, Saban said, I can't change anything here. I'm throwing my hands up in the air. We saw other sports in NCAA go through this. I think it was folly to think that that hockey wasn't going to follow suit. And essentially, hockey has followed suit quickly here. I mean, Rod, you know this, basically because NCAA doesn't want to lose any more lawsuits. Like, they're over when it comes to lawsuits on this issue. And so as soon as next season, you're going to start to see CHL players populate Division I programs. Like, I would, and I know that, like, I know this for a fact. The schools are already being aggressive. The conversations are already being had. The big name players are already being approached about leaving the CHL and going to Division I as soon as next season. Any program that thought that they weren't going to be aggressive or take a wait and see approach are going to be left behind, because all the major schools, whether it's NODAC, whether it's Michigan, whether it's B, all of them are all over these top CHL players. That is happening as we speak right now, Rod.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting you say that the war has ended. I like to think that it is. Of all the Canadian sports topics, and you're a Canadian, there is nothing more than when people say, what's better, major, junior, or college?
Yeah.
I'd rather not. But what I do say, I'll just say.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Please.
Well, I say Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Connor Bedard, Sidney Crosby. That's my answer.
Yep.
Enough said. How do you answer
but now what you've been seeing is, I mean, Macklin Celebrini, Adam Fantilli. I mean, there's also like a long stretch. Like, you really have to give it up to USA Hockey and what they've been able to do, and because once upon a time, NCAA. I mean, it was. I think that it would have been probably Bob Johnson in the 80s when he coached the Calgary Flames. When the Flames were like this with the Edmonton Oilers, they didn't have time to draft and develop and wait for those players. They needed players. I mean, Badger Bob's team is in Wisconsin. Badger Bob essentially grabbed players from college, older players, to try to help the Calgary Flames compete against the Edmonton Oilers, and it worked. But at that point, it wasn't as if the NHL was being populated by 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 NCAA players on each team. It was almost like, okay, and this guy went to U.S. college. Isn't that neat? Well, that's all changed now. And so you have to, I agree that the CHL has been a wonderful pipeline. I think the leagues are at a right number. It's a really nice hothouse for development, whether it's the Western League, the OHL, or the Q, like a real nice number. I do think those numbers are going to grow. But now the nice thing about this is, I mean, when you think about it, Rod, we were asking 15-year-olds to make up their minds about their future. Right? I know, you throw your hands up, but that's what we were doing. Okay, you're 15 years old. Decide what you want to do. I didn't know what I wanted for lunch when I was 15 years old, Rod. I had no clue.
A life-changing decision. right? Yeah, but it's just the way that it was. And that, anyways, Jeff, we're out of time. I'll let you get ready for your show. Thanks for making this happen. We've been wanting to do it for a long time, man. Good luck with everything, and I hope we can keep in touch.
Much appreciated. Buzz back anytime. The answer was always yes. I'm glad that I have some free time now. Finally, I can join you whenever you want.
Approved.
Thank you, man. The great Jeff Marek. Gentleman Jeff Marek from the Sheet. Daily Faceoff. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover after this on this U.S. Thanksgiving. We got a lot of NFL to get to as well. Live on Game Plus TV. Live streaming on YouTube and Facebook, and of course...
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
No.
The moustache is calling. Raise funds, save lives. Donate at Movember.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
So many things to get to, so little time. I'm glad that we have been able to cover a lot of ground. Moose will be back with us at the top of hour 2 on this U.S. Thanksgiving. It's a beautiful day here in South Florida. It's a beautiful day to be alive. I'll say this with what Jeff Marek said there. There's a big message here in what's gone on in the hockey wars that can be translated to life. college hockey, major, junior, while he said the war is over, he's right, but it's also still going on in a lot of ways. And let me just watch your toes. I'm going to drop some names here, but I spent a good deal of time yesterday with Peter Worrell. You all know him, the 6'8" feared fighter from Montreal, Florida Panthers great. He was on our Panthers podcast yesterday. And he spent a long time chatting with me and Serena about USA hockey and the gains that they've made. And where they said they were tired of losing to Canada. And are they big brother now? They're looking eye to eye with Canada, I think. I'm not sure they're big brother yet, but Hockey Canada, I think we can all agree, got cocked. And look what it did to them. And I'll be honest with you, we're sitting over here on Anthem Sports, Game Plus Television. We're not TSN, we're not Sportsnet. We just had a guy from Sportsnet, Jeff Marek, with us. TSN forever was incredibly cocky. And now you watch those games in Canada, NHL games. What does it say on the boards? Canada's #1 sports network, Sportsnet. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I understand that. That's one thing. But also don't get cocky. It's hurt Hockey Canada. It's hurt TSN. They're no longer Canada's #1 sports network. That's just a fact. And I think cockiness caught them. That and Sportsnet's got the bigger checkbook. Power, money, all of that. That's a topic we'll have to get into next hour. But for the sake of a sports update on this Thursday, U.S. Thanksgiving, the Toronto Raptors are no longer winless on the road. Ochai Agbaji and Jamison Battle each scored 24 points, and the Raptors defeated the New Orleans Pelicans 119-93 Wednesday night. R.J. Barrett had 22 points and 11 assists for Toronto, who came in 0-10 on the road. LeBron James finished with 16 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds for a triple-double in a 119-101 Lakers win over the San Antonio Spurs. Victor Wembanyama had 20 points and 10 rebounds for the Spurs. Here is the difference. Brent from Wellington, Florida, if he's still watching, can understand this. I was having a chat this morning about U.S. hockey fans, the ones that don't know but think they know. It's like me in the NBA. Difference here is I love watching it. I love it. But do you ever see me calling out a player for not playing well, making a mistake, or a coach for not doing a great job? No, because I have no idea what the hell's going on in the court. I just like watching. A lot of the U.S. hockey fans have no idea what's going on the ice, yet feel the need to tell Paul Maurice how to do his job. The sports update is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, Heretic. 2 young missionaries are forced to prove their faith when they knock on the wrong door and are greeted by a diabolical Mr. Reed, played by Hugh Grant, becoming ensnared in his deadly game of cat and mouse. I went to it. I wouldn't tell you to, but it is showing now. If you go, tell me what you think. Moose Reed joins, and Jason Gregor next hour. Stick around.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Esteban and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oleg in Winnipeg writes in, says, Rod is fighting so hard. My awesome comments. One day I'll win him over for one. Well, at least you're now speaking in first person. The fact that you've been writing in third person for several years, I refuse to read your comments in third person. So that's why, Oleg, if you spoke like a normal person, I'd read your comment. How about that?
How about that? This is the Rod Pedersen Show. How about that?
Yeah. Hey, Rick Reagan. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, to the U.S. viewers and U.S. people, if you observe. Welcome to the RP Show. Hope you're having a good one. The Moose joins us. He's in Toronto. I'm in the South Florida studio. You see the Happy Thanksgiving balloon over my arm here. It's a big NFL day. No NHL today. I don't think there's NBA either. And Moose, once we get through this in 59 minutes time, what you got going on, man? You pitting in for some NFL? Tell me what's going on in your world. We don't have sound, or is it just me? I can't hear Moose. He says that's on.
You got me now? Can you hear me?
We're good. Got you. Yep.
The Lions game is on over my shoulder, so I got the Lions and Bears on right now. Yes, I got a little work stuff to do based on some meetings I had today, but mostly I'm going to sit in front, watch football. I have a connection to the U.S. I don't live there, but I spend lots of time there, have lots of friends. So we're going to do turkey meatballs, cranberry sauce, potatoes for dinner. It'll be good.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Darren had meetings with the Mucky Mucks of Game Plus Television. That's why he was a little late getting on the show today. How did it go, Darren? Just give me was it good or bad, or we're going to stay on the air on Game Plus, or what?
2 thumbs up.
Oh, good.
2 thumbs up.
Okay.
Network is is thriving.
Of course. Good to hear. Thanks for the report. And happy Thursday to those at the Game Plus control in Toronto. Okay. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Ryan? Just so everybody knows, this is what we signed on an hour ago with. NHL leftovers from last night. The game of the night was here in Sunrise. I was there with Serena. They served turkey and cranberries sandwiches in the press box, Darren, just so you know, and we loved it. And the Panthers slapped around the Leafs 5-1. I beat Darren 9-3 in the NHL breakaway bets. We'll just leave it there. The poll question today for EMJ Marketing is who should be Canada's goaltender in the Four Nations Faceoff. The rosters are going to be announced next week. Your options are Aiden Hill of the Vegas Golden Knights, Sam Montembeault of the Montreal Canadiens, Jordan Binnington of the St. Louis Blues, or other. And leading the poll is Jordan Binghamton, at least on YouTube from what I've seen from the Blues. Number 3, the NFL triple header, which we'll get to right away. Darren, do you have an update in the game? You said it's over your shoulder. Can you tell me what's happening with the Lions and the Bears at Ford Field? Do you have it?
The Bears were driving, or the Lions were driving, but I haven't been paying attention. I'm locked into the show. I think it was scoreless when I looked, but
Gotcha. Point 4. Darren's already turned this into the meme of the day. We talked about the Canadian Football League's Montreal Alouettes moving on from Cody Fajardo. It sounds like he got hurt last year, one season after leading Montreal to a Grey Cup championship, being named the MVP in the CFL championship game. They're moving on from him. And the younger Davis Alexander, the backup quarterback who went 5-0 last year when Cody got hurt, has been signed to a new contract. And Cody, it sucks to be you. And we talked about the lack of loyalty with the Alouettes, and I said we are in the age of do what's best for me. Do what's best for you. And the Alouettes are doing what's best for them. Cody now has to do what's best for him. It's not personal. And we'll continue that in a second. Darren, we got into CFL versus NFL as far as the Canadian fans go because we are on national television in Canada. And we got a ton of texts here from the Alaterra Skincare text line that I'll get to. But I said, is anybody else? Well, I'm not alarmed because I don't care. I don't rely on the CFL for a paycheck anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. I see all these Canadians coming south here to America to NFL games, more than there's ever been. I'm sure there's data to show that is, in fact, a thing. Is the CFL even worried about it? Because if they're not, they should be. So here, Brent in Wellington, Florida, writes in, he says, how does an NFL game day experience compare to a CFL game day experience? I was in Green Bay last weekend. The stadium and lots were packed, tailgating at 8 a.m. I don't mind talking about this for 2 reasons. It's U.S. Thanksgiving. It's a triple header today, and we're on television in Canada, and you and I are both Canadian football guys, or at least I think so. This is what I realized over a decade ago. Every single NFL game is a Grey Cup. Everyone. Every NFL game is a Grey Cup. Write it down. Flyovers, marching bands, alumni events, parades. Every game is a Grey Cup. Whereas in the CFL, in a lot of ways, while I believe all the game day experiences in the CFL are great, I've experienced them all. They're all great. They're not in the same stratosphere as the NFL, and I think they've slid. I do. And I think those CFL experiences they're just a game. They're not an event. NFL games are an event. That's my take. What's yours, Darren?
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, we both grew up in Saskatchewan. And I remember it was an event every time I went to a Rider game as a kid. And we would park blocks and blocks away down at the old Superstore on Albert. We'd walk our way down. And there'd be people in their backyards cooking up hot dogs, selling them hamburgers. You never knew where it came from, like whatever. No certificates for food safe, whatever. You'd buy a hamburger for $1.50 or $2 and walk in, and then there'd be people selling programs, and the band would be playing outside the stadium, and they had the practice field where you could go in there and drink, and if you were, of age, and there was things to see and do all around the stadium, and it was wow. And then you get inside, and wow, some more. And jersey giveaways and down to the field at halftime and all these different things. It was wonderful. Now, they still do a lot of great things. The game day is still pretty good. But we want to control everything. I think just, letting everybody get involved. We go to Calgary. That feels like, insane. It's like a big event. They have their Stampeders, their actual tailgate inside the fence. But then they open the parking lot and let the fans do their thing there. And everybody works together. And it's all trying to filter people in. Now, that hasn't translated to great crowds, but it's still fun if you're down there. We just got to tell people about it.
The tailgating in Calgary is amazing. It's the best in Canada. It is. None of it is in the NFL stratosphere, but for Canadian sports standards, it's pretty good. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and be the guy talking about the old days. I'm not. And I'm going to get to some messages as to why, some texts here on the Alaterra Skincare text line as to why I say that. But I want to read these to you, Darren. Max in Toronto writes in. He's 22 years of age. He says, I've been trying to make trips out of CFL games. Took 3 buddies to Montreal for a weekend this summer to catch an Alouettes game. Their atmosphere is very good, too. I want to make this very clear. I'm not saying any in the CFL are bad. They're all good. They're just not in the NFL's league. Blair in Calgary. You'll like this one, Darren. It's at you. I want to defend you, but I'm going to let you defend yourself. You're a big boy. He says, hello, okay. Blair from Calgary. Happy Thanksgiving. This one is for Moose. How about showing some CFL on your T-shirt or on your wall?
How about that? Hot damn. Spicy.
Good idea. Oh, boy. Let me dodge and duck and bob and weave.
You don't.
Stay in the pocket, Darren.
I'll do it. I'll run the block. Darren doesn't have to prove a GD thing to you, Blair, or anybody else. Broadcast Canadian University football, junior football. You played junior football for a brief. You do not have to prove your Canadian football fandom. So pipe down. Now, I have this CFL football over my shoulder that was a gift from the Canadian Football League, and I love them. This helmet up here, what it looks like Montreal, it's not. It's the FAU Owls. And that's an old vintage helmet that they gave away a couple weeks ago here in Boca Raton, Florida. But I will always have that CFL thing up for me. But Darren moves around. He's always moving. So he can't always have a CFL background. So I got your back, Moose.
Thank you. And this is a bet. I'm not wearing NFL gear every day on this show.
He lost a bet. I'm wearing Dolphins gear because I live near Miami, and they're playing today. I've wanted to wear it all week. I'm fiddling with the idea of wearing this outfit to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse tonight, where Serena and I go for our annual Thanksgiving supper. They do a great deal at the Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. When I say great deal, I mean not that pricey. And I was just there the other day. I said, what's your dress code? Because this is a whole other thing, how things have changed. Last year, we went to the West Palm Beach, Ruth's Chris, and we all got dressed up, Serena and I. I was in a suit. She was in beautiful evening wear. And we're looking around. There's guys in sandals and muscle shirts at Ruth's Chris. But why did we get dressed up? So we'll probably bring it down a little. Here's hoping everybody else brings it up a little, but we can meet in the middle at Ruth's Chris today. Jim in Belgoni writes in, and he says, regarding this, we're in the era of do what's best for you. Jim says teams do what's best for them. Players do what's best for the players. Isn't it that simple on the topic of loyalty? It is what it is. Yeah, I think what it is, Jim, is the teams have been screwing the players for 100 years, and now the players have more power now than they ever have. So if they screw a team, people can't believe it. That's all. It's just the players, when they stick up for themselves, people can't believe that they are. But they're going to get it in the end, eventually. It's 11:11 Eastern, Darren. Do you have thoughts before I continue? Because I got a lot of thoughts. You're right. It's a holiday in Canada right now. Go.
I know.
Go.
But on that, and this is one of the analytics trains and again, there's a lot of good things that are coming out of analytics, but some things that get missed is you can't just look at it. And I would look at it like a video game. If I'm going to make a trade, or release somebody who's a 78 overall in the game because this other guy is an 81 overall. But what you're not accounting for is the loyalty factor, the chemistry, the familiarity, the comfort, all the things that happen when you have guys in your organization for long periods of time, the familiarity, the connection to the fan base, connection to the quarterback, connection to all these players actually make you more valuable and more productive. So it's not just about getting the more athletic player, the better player. It's all about fit and familiarity, and it can be a long-term benefit to stick with guys.
Well, you and I know that, but the teams don't seem to care. I mean, that's how we got down this road in the first place. People are upset that Cody Fajardo got screwed over by Montreal. And I'm like, number one, you fans are probably more upset than Cody is. Cody's been through this before. He'll be fine. Yeah. The lack of loyalty is, I think you're a Fajardo fan, so you're upset, and now you're blaming the CFL, and that's misguided. It's not personal. Now, the next step in that is what's best for you, the fan. You're going to keep being a CFL fan because you're going to see this happens in every league. That's what we've been talking about for an hour. Freddie writes in from Winnipeg, and he says, hey, RP Show, good one again today. And it was good to see Jeff Marek on TV again, breaking down the USA hockey and the CHL situation.
Approved.
Switching back and forth between this show and the Bears game. Wasn't that nice? The nice things that Jeff Marek said last hour about always wanting to be on this show, but that we were on air at the same time. Him on Sportsnet, us here on Game Plus. And now it's changed. It's like when Tootie from The Facts of Life showed up on Different Strokes. It was more than my 9-year-old brain could handle. Oh, by the way, just to drop some names, I told you that we had Peter Worrell on the Cats and Bolts podcast yesterday, the 6'8", Florida Panthers fan favorite. His dad's from Barbados. We got into this yesterday. And he does this unbelievable banger imitation of his dad's Barbadosian accent, however you say it. And I guess the guy immigrated in the 60s from Barbados to Hamilton initially and then settled in Montreal. Peter Worrell told the story. It was unbelievable. We love it. But he turned, I guess they were watching the Habs in the 80s, the Montreal Canadiens, and he turned to his son and goes, why can't you do what Peter Svoboda does on the ice? And Peter Worrell goes, I'm 8. Serena hit the floor. Well, his dad had no clue. When you play hockey, you're a hockey player. Peter Svoboda's a hockey player. You're a hockey player. Why can't you do what he does? I'm 8. Peter Worrell is hilarious. And the episode will drop next week. Oh, and by the way, watch for this. I said to Peter, because his Instagram handle is Peter Worrell, at Peter Worrell, hockey director. He works for the Panthers, coaching minor hockey, putting on camps. And I said, if you need anybody to push pylons around or move pucks, give me a call. I'm ready now to help out and join the program. He's like, oh, we could always use an extra hand. So watch for that next. I'll be on the ice here in South Florida, infecting the kids' minds. Corey writes in from Radville.
It's meant for you. Wearing the track, you can need the full track suit, whistle. You just got the look for it. Yes.
It's all I want is a tracksuit and a hat. You don't need to pay me. Just give me a tracksuit. We're good.
Yeah.
Corey in Radville writes in. He says, Rod, can you tell me what on earth is going on with the Regina Pats? It seems like a team that's a mess. Been rebuilding since the Memorial Cup. It's ridiculous. And even trading away young number 1 picks like Cole Temple. What a mess. Okay, 2 things on that. Number 1, if Connor Bedard had agreed to be traded, which whatever, Connor Bedard is the Wayne Gretzky of junior hockey. He can do whatever he wants. But if he didn't want to be traded, if he was traded, they wouldn't be in the mess that they're in now because John Paddock would have set the team up for years. But Bedard didn't want that. So that's A. B, back to how things aren't what they used to be and do what's best for you. I remember Cam Moon coming into Regina in the late 90s, early 2000s. He was the voice of the Red Deer Rebels, and I was, of course, the voice of the Regina Pats. And he goes, Regina, man, it's the Toronto of junior hockey. You come in here, there's a vibe. Tons of articles in the paper. The TV stations are broadcasting live. You know, it was the Toronto of junior hockey. Now it's. But you know what? Not my circus, not my monkeys, not my deal. And I apologize that you're a Pats fan and you're wondering what's happened to the Pats. Do what's best for you, baby. Do what's best for you, baby. And I'm sitting here in South Florida, writing for the South Florida Tribune, hosting a Panthers podcast, doing this show virtually. I don't, for 1/10 of a second, regret anything I've done the last 3 to 4 years. So what I'm saying is the Pats are going to do their thing. That's their deal. It ain't mine. Darren, you can think about it in the break. And if you have any thoughts on that, we'll get back to it or move on with others. We'll be right back here live on this U.S. Thanksgiving edition of the RP Show, live on Game Plus Television, live streaming on YouTube and Facebook, and, of course, podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to World Championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
U.S. Thanksgiving. That's what we're celebrating today. By getting in, we're in one as far as the discussion goes. And I didn't really plan for that to be the case. But I want to tell you the Eloterra skincare text line's busy, 902-518-3033. As sports fans, there's nothing we love more than a comeback. In the game against wrinkles, scars, and acne, it's never too late to revitalize your skin with Eloterra Naturals. Do me a favor, support our sponsors like them, and you can use the promo code RP20 for 20% off your first order at eloterra.com. Please bring in the Moose. Moose, we could go all the way to the end just reading viewer comment, which I feel like you probably want to do with me, right?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
But it's funny, dude, you are not comfortable being polarizing. I get that. I mean, nobody really likes it. I'm just used to it. But John Ohm says Moose is Canadian football at all levels. On the flip side, Rocky in Winnipeg says it looks like Moose is more into the NFL. You couldn't get two more opposite opinions, and you haven't done anything.
I am a huge NFL fan. I am. I love the NFL. I'll be honest. I like college football too. but I also bleed Canadian football. Love university football, the CFL, plan to work in those leagues forever. I'm an and, not or guy. We can love them all. And guess what? Canadian football's over. So now it's American football time. And then it'll be Canadian football.
You're right. Dude, you're right. And this is why I enjoy our conversations. And these are things that the fans, they don't understand because they've never been part of it. And if they would just zip it and listen for a minute, you would understand these conversations go on. We were sitting around the lounge at the Grey Eagle Casino in Calgary. And you might have been there, Darren. You might not have been. But Lee Genier was with us, okay? He was with us for a while, our show. And he, for years, was the vice president of marketing for the Calgary Stampeders. And I was like you, saying, football's football. We're all in it together. And Lee was like, no, we're not. We're trying to sell tickets in McMahon. And what have we said? There's people from Canada going to NFL games in the States in a record amount. They are in competition. And here's you and me saying they're not, but they are. Okay? And then, way to go, Brent in Wellington, Florida. You started this whole conversation. He goes, how does a CFL game day compare to an NFL? And Brent goes on to say, because he's an original Regina guy, he says, what happened to the Flame at the Riders games? For those that don't know, Sandy Monteith, a legendary CFL figure, dressed up in green and white, painted his face white, had a hard hat with gunpowder and a can on top. He'd light it on fire, and a flame would go like 20 feet high. What happened was there was an incident, and it's not funny. He had a young kid, a minor, working with him, carrying his gunpowder, and there was an incident, and that was the end of the flame. The kid lived, but I would say was, I think, permanently injured because of it. So it's not funny, but that's what happened with the flame. And it was long after you left, Regina, Brent. Darren and I were saying that the Calgary Stampeders tailgating is second to none. Rocky in Winnipeg writes in, he says, not sure the tailgating beats Winnipeg's, Rod. Potato. Ken in Mississauga says, was it more of an event during the good times at Taylor Field? Again, what are you into? It's the most beautiful stadium in Canada. Outdoor stadium, because BC Place is better in my mind. But what are we getting? But the atmosphere has been lost. It's louder in the old place, I think. Bear with me, Darren, as we continue here. Joshua Dorr has checked in from Florida. Another new friend of mine who's started following me since I've been working with the South Florida Tribune. He says, that's the way to do Thanksgiving. I'm cooking today. Wish I could just chill and do Ruth's Chris. That's what we're doing tonight. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse for their annual turkey dinner. Jay in Winnipeg says, Rod, where did it go? Rod, stovetop stuffing or potatoes? The peanut gallery has to know. Can I be like Moose and say both? Because I love both. If I can get the sweet potato side dish at Ruth's Chris is next to God. But if you put a gun to my head, I would say stovetop stuffing, because stuffing you only have a couple times a year. Potatoes you can have every day, year round. So I'll say stovetop stuffing.
How about this? Yeah, I'll say potatoes, but just barely, just because there's a little more substance to them. Leanne found a recipe, and this is what you put a little binder in the meatballs, turkey meatballs. The recipe calls for using stovetop stuffing to bind your turkey meatballs together. That'll be good.
How about that? Oh, yeah.
How about that?
Arlen Bruce is watching in Vancouver, British Columbia today. Game Plus Television. He writes and he says, great morning, RP and Moose. RP, the Ruth's Chris is my favorite. In Mississauga, the potatoes au gratin and the lamb are phenomenal. Chiefs all day. Happy Thanksgiving, family. Same to you, AB. And I will say the Ruth's Chris in downtown Toronto, I'll never forget. 2001 NHL draft. I was in there, and Wayne Gretzky came in. Yeah, that Wayne Gretzky, Darren. And I'll never forget, it was the end of June, so it was hot as hell. It was hotter than you can imagine. Wayne came in wearing a white dress shirt, jeans, and a black leather blazer. And the reason we knew that it was Gretzky was you could hear the tink. Everybody dropped their fork on their plate. If you want to know why Wayne Gretzky, well, everybody stopped and looked. It was Wayne Gretzky, 2001, the great one. He can roam around West Palm Beach, where he lives here, South Florida, and I wouldn't say nobody knows who he is, but it's not like Canada where he can't even move. Wayne's got a really nice life.
Everybody rises, lets him walk in.
Yeah, exactly. Rocky in Winnipeg, if you don't like the topics of what we're talking about, you're welcome to leave anytime. Rocky's opinions and comments just took a real turn for the ugly, Darren. And Rocky, we're not here for it. If you don't like our tone on this show, I ask you to leave. The sooner the better. Thanks. Regarding Peter Worrell and his father being from Barbados and his accent, Max says, pretty sure it's Barbadian, Rod. The Barbadian accent. I have no idea. You have to understand something. Coming from Saskatchewan, where they said Alabama and Mississippi were just like Alabama and Mississippi. I didn't get it until I went to those places. Growing up, we didn't have anybody from Barbados. How would I know that an accent is a Barbadian? I wouldn't know. I'm today years old to figure that out. Rocky, are you still here or have you left? Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, hi, Kirk. I heard at a Bills game that about 10,000 fans at the game are from Southern Ontario, and most are season ticket holders. Bob in Saskatoon writes, and he says, the tailgaters were arrested at Old Taylor Field. The NFL understands the moment. His point being, tried to tailgate at Old Taylor Field, but it was illegal by city bylaw, whereas the NFL celebrates it and encourages it. Rocky writes in and says, that's what I expected from you, Rod. Still here. Okay, well then, shut up and watch. Stop commenting because I'm done with you today, Rocky. Thanks. Mandy in Edmonton writes in, where I said we are in a do what's best for you era of not just sports, but sports is a microcosm of life. If you're paying attention to it. I said, Cody was basically shown the door. Cody Fajardo by Montreal. I'll guarantee you, I don't even need to talk to Cody. He's not offended by it. He doesn't take it personally. It happened to him in Saskatchewan. He survived. He'll survive this. There are fans that are upset with the way that he's been treated. And I said, you're only upset because you love Cody. That's it. You need to decide if you want to still support Montreal or the CFL, because somebody is saying this, the CFL's lack of loyalty is turning me off. Mandy in Edmonton says, are fans generally happy? What are RP's thoughts? Mandy, dude. Darren, I feel like the kindergarten the teacher at the front of the room. I'm going over this all the time. Ricky Nelson, you can't please everyone, so you have to please yourself. I can't be responsible for what millions of fans think. NHL arenas are packed. The Argos had their best crowds that they've ever had at BMO Field this year, and they won the Grey Cup. Winnipeg sold out multiple games. And Edmonton, your football stadium's empty. And Regina, your junior hockey arena is empty. That's not my fault, not my problem. I'm very happy, happier than I've ever been. And that's why we call it the Rod Pedersen Show. I'm not worried about whether you're happy or not, Mandy, or Rocky in Winnipeg, or what I talk about, or how I've moved on with my life. Are fans happy? That's up to you. I don't know. How would you answer that?
I think we get caught up a little bit too much in what do I see right in front of my face, or what do I, the small couple of people I talk to, and think that's what everybody's feeling and thinking. Like, you look in Regina,
everybody's
and
like
upset
that
about the direction of the and if you think about the direction of the team and fans aren't showing up and selling out the new Mosaic Stadium, they think the CFL's not doing great. But you go to Toronto, it's better than it has been. Or you go to Vancouver, they're having great crowds in Vancouver with great experiences and 50 cents coming in. It's different. It depends where you go. So you have to open yourself up to other opinions and other points of view and put yourself in somebody else's shoes. But it's really difficult to do. Nobody does it.
You might as well go outside and piss into the wind for what you just said. And that's a Judy Pedersen line. Might as well just piss into the wind.
That?
And the problem there is it's going to come back on you. Or like Vegas Vacation was on the other day. That dealer? Changing 20. Why don't we go outside and I'll kick you in the nuts for a while and you can give me the money. Yeah, Brent, I appreciate I'm just saying to look outside yourself and consider other people's opinions. Why? You and I do that. We're pretty happy. The people that don't do it are very not happy. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, Moose's shirt is gold. And I'm not even a Packers fan. But I came from Brent in Wellington, Florida, who Brent won the bet. He shipped that to Darren. All you need is love. He's a Packers fan. And Brent says, bye, Rocky. Rocky doesn't like the change that I've made in my life, and he's very upset. So what I'm telling you is to leave, and he won't leave. So pretty soon we'll be calling security. Moose, enjoy your turkey balls. Sounds painful, doesn't it?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Gregor's in next. We'll be right back live on the Game Plus Television Network. Live streaming on YouTube and Facebook, and of course, podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained.
Hey, Burger.
Too entertained?
Yeah, I had the wrong camera. That looks way better.
business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Our Pace Show continues. Sports fans, join the Rod Squad newsletter today. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up for free today at rodpeterson.com. It includes my 10 Things column where we get to all the hottest sports topics. Please welcome in Jason Gregor. And before we do, Laverne writes in from Swift Current on the 902 text line. He says, spicy show today. It is. You would not know, Jason, that it's supposed to be a holiday, for God's sakes. How's your U.S. Thanksgiving going, brah?
Well, buddy, I'm living in Canada, so it's not really. Although I am watching the Detroit Lions dismantle Chicago, which is not a surprise by any stretch. I think the Lions have more plays than the Bears have yards at this point. So,
you know, what is the score? Do you have it right in front of you?
10-0.
I don't have it on here. So. Oh, my God. Okay, it's going to be a rout. I think 10.5 was the line the last I saw. Here's something that you can sink your teeth into, Jason. I said I'm seeing more Canadians than ever going to NFL games in the States and that the CFL should be worried about this. Kind of an underlying theme of today's show. Are your friends or associates or Facebook friends, do you see that like I have?
Yeah, there's some for sure. The CFL, it goes up and down. There's certain markets that have been really strong for a long time. That Edmonton's obviously not where they want to be. Calgary's not where they want to be, and the strength has always kind of been the West, similar to the NBA right now. But I think it's something you have to be aware of. You don't have to be fearful of it, but you have to look and say, okay, what can we do? Like, Edmonton's rejigged their whole organization, and they're going to bring pride back, I think, for the first time, which is important to them. But, Calgary, I'm not sure what the direction they're going. And, does their ownership want to spend a dime? It's funny. Like, it's an ownership that owns the NHL team, and they're not spending money at all in the CFL team. And so that's probably a bigger concern. I think the fans will come back. If you have a good product, I'm a firm believer in that. And because let's be honest, for the small percentage of people that can pay to travel for an NFL game, there's way more that can go to arena. You can get season tickets and go to 9 games way cheaper than one trip to the NFL.
There you go. Well said. And we'll get to the NHL in a second, but you mentioned the Elks. How did you feel about your guy Ed Hervey's comment about the laughingstock? The Elks have become the laughingstock of the CFL. Got some, raised some eyebrows. What did you think?
Well, truth hurts, I think. It's been a tire fire in Edmonton for the last 5 years. Like, and from top down, everybody in the organization, like I thought Chris Morris had a very astute point when he talked about if you're going to be the president of a team, which he is now, and he says, I hope when I'm gone, the person who replaces me, you can't, the last few presidents in Edmonton, they didn't know anything about football, Rod. So if you have a president, but then you have a president of football, okay. But I don't think you can have a president of a pro sports team that has zero understanding of the actual sport, right? Like, I just don't think that's you're going to lead to much success. And that led to some bad hirings. And just you go down the list of where the organization's gone. Like, what's good about their organization right now? Like, they've got some pieces, actually. I'll give them credit. Like, it's not like, Chris Jones left the cupboard completely bare by any stretch of the imagination, but, they refused to play their best player. It was moronic to the point where what they did with Trey Ford and tried to sewer him publicly, there's so many things that have gone wrong in that organization that I don't think there's a quick fix. But I will say, having Morris on the business side in the community, and then Hervey as a football guy, they've gotten the attention of a lot of their fans, and I don't think they're done, Rod. Like, there'll be some other big announcements coming, not just coach, but I think even from an organizational standpoint that's going to go over well with their fan base in Edmonton.
I like to hear it. I look forward to it. I know of quite a few because I've talked to some of their coaches. Some are coming back. Some aren't. We'll let the Elks announce that. As far as the Oilers go,
I would say
they
most
are not in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think, Rod, you
Go
and
ahead.
I'd agree that most of their coaches won't be coming back. I think maybe like a few
exactly.
position coaches, none of the big positions.
Yeah. To the Oilers, they're not in a playoff spot. How concerned are people right now on this U.S. Thanksgiving date?
Not very concerned, probably, nor should they be. The Oilers, if I would have pulled everybody around the NHL at the start of the season and said, what is the one area of Edmonton you're most confident that they will be good at? I think you would have had pretty unanimous power play. They had the best power play, the historically best power play in the NHL history for 5 years. And it sucks right now. And, they've still got McDavid. They still got Draisaitl. They'll figure it out. Their 5-on-5 defending, which most people probably thought would be their worst aspect, has actually been their best. It's been the most consistent. Their 5-on-5 scoring's kind of woken up here in this month. Their power play still, their penalty kill's good. The Oilers will be fine because, Rod, look at all these other teams. Vancouver now, they just got the Hronik injury. They're a point ahead of them. Calgary's a few points ahead of them. Game in hand for Edmonton. They're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. So they've kind of sleptwalked through the first 22 games, being just above average, but they're not in any real trouble, and that's the good thing for them.
Well, I mean, you do it every day. You talk this every day. And I just, from a pure outsider, I don't care about the Oilers, but I live with a huge Oilers. And it's like, Woodcroft got fired last year when they sleptwalked for the first 2 months. And now you got this coach that took them all the way to the Stanley Cup. Now what? You're sleepwalking again? You know what I mean? Like, what's it going to take for you guys to get serious?
Yeah, 2-9-1's a lot different. Like, the Oilers are above 500, right? Like, I think that the bar has been risen in Edmonton, as it should be. But, like, 2-9-1 is a lot different than 10, what are they, 10-9-3? Or 10-8? No, 10-8-4, I don't even know. 11, yeah, whatever they are, I don't even know. But I'm not, like, honestly, Rod, like, outside of Winnipeg's ridiculous start, Carolina had a really good run. Like, look at the Atlantic, Florida, Boston struggling, Tampa Bay's okay. Toronto did pretty well without Matthews and then got spanked. Buffalo's in the mix, for goodness sake. So it's kind of more wide open this year, I think, other than in the Metro division where, there's some clear separation from their top three teams. And, there's a lot more concern, I would think, in Nashville and other places. Edmonton's a hockey market, right? Like, I'm a pretty calm person, so I don't think I speak for the fans. I think a lot of fans were upset, but I think it's a lot of much ado about nothing. You can't win the cup in October. You can lose it by putting yourself in a real bad hole, and the Oilers aren't in a bad hole. They're not where they want to be, but I won't be surprised here. You come up in December, they've got a real favorable schedule that by the time we get to Christmas, Edmonton will probably be comfortably in a playoff spot.
Gotcha. Did I see that you had Ken Holland on your show?
Yeah, in the Business of Sports, a new segment I do with Rich Winter. We had Ken on for an hour. Yeah, it's fantastic.
What did he say?
Well, we talked a lot about kind of like the business of a GM and, trades and how, when you negotiate stuff like that. And it wasn't a lot about his time in Edmonton. We talked a little bit about his time in Edmonton because honestly, like, I know there's a lot of people out there that, oh, yeah, Ken Holland, this or that. And I'm like, all I look at are results. Before Ken Holland came in, the Oilers had made the playoffs once in 13 years. And 4 of those years were with Connor McDavid. Every year with Ken Holland, they made the playoffs, and every year they got better. And they went to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final and lost by 1 goal. And had 2 pretty good chances in the third period, didn't bury them. So, what else do you want? Now, I know people are upset about Broberg. Well, Broberg didn't. What people don't understand is you can offer a guy a contract all you like. If the guy wants to get traded, he ain't signing the contract. Now, the one thing the Oilers, in hindsight, Rod, and hindsight's a beautiful thing. The one thing they might have done if they really wanted to put the screws to him was in the playoffs before he played that game against Dallas. You say, hey, Philip, we're going to play you, but you got to sign a 2-year extension right now today for 1.5, 1.8 mil. Now, maybe he would have, maybe he wouldn't have, but that's really, what else can you do? right? Like there's not, hey, Phil, we sign a contract. He's in the American League. There's no chance in January he's signing a contract when he's pissed off and he's in the American League. Like, give me a break. And so Dylan Holloway was one where, I think in hindsight, could they have signed him a little bit earlier? Maybe. But I think, honestly, Rod, you looked at his numbers, he's not a guy who historically has been an offer sheet player, and his offer sheet wasn't crazy. They probably could have matched Holloway realistically if they wanted to, but they got Podkolzin, and honestly, they're kind of the same player.
Yeah. Well,
but that wasn't, keep in mind,
I love that
wasn't Ken Holland, right? Because Ken Holland, once the Stanley Cup was over, Rod, and even weeks before, everybody knew Ken wasn't the GM. So you can't really, if you want to get on him for the Broberg one, okay, but you can't really say anything about Ken Holland for Holloway because he wasn't the guy making the decisions at that point.
Yeah, he was gone a week later. He did bring them into the organization. But, I mean, these are the things that you feel you show up for hours, and it's fun, but we don't really get anywhere. Jason, this has been fun, though. Thank you for it. Happy holidays, and keep in touch, brother.
Rod, anytime, buddy. Have a good one.
Thank you, pal. Sports 1440 Edmonton's Jason Gregor. And I hope, Mandy in Edmonton, this answers your questions that you've been on my back about all show. I think we covered all of your questions you wanted. We'll be right back with Overtime after this. We are live on Game Plus Television, live streaming on YouTube and Facebook today, and, of course, podcasting wherever the best podcasts are.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
As always, this final segment is brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. God bless them. Have you been to OT Hockey Lanes yet to improve your game or just have fun? With state-of-the-art equipment, spacious shooting lanes, and games for all ages, Overtime Hockey Lanes is the perfect destination to build teams, whether they're from the Calgary area or if you're on a road trip from out of town. Book your lanes today, 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. I was smiling because I was laughing at some of the comments from the comments section here. I'm heading out to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse here in Boca Raton, Florida, later for a Thanksgiving supper. They do it every year. They put it on. Serena and I go every year. It's amazing. Mandy at Edmonton writes in. She says, RP has too much piss and vinegar today for a good Thanksgiving dinner. Incorrect. When I leave this studio in 6 minutes' time, I won't even be thinking about what went on here today. That's number one. Number two, my business manager, Joe, has this saying. Sometimes his shit meter gets full, and he blows his stack. And today, this Rocky from Winnipeg rode in, and my shit meter was full. So I had to blow some out. The guy said that, oh, you think you're too good for the WHL and the CFL. Guy, you're 3 years behind on the topic. It's over. Get with it. I've explained it to everybody that needs it to be explained to. I don't need to explain shit to you. Rich in Edmonton writes in and says, the Ken Holland interview was great. That was with Jason Gregor, and hopefully we can get Ken Holland on. I know a few. We could do it. Brent in Wellington, Florida says, Happy Turkey Day to you and yours, Rod and Moose. Thanks for being a good sport. Go Pack, go. That's why you get tired of it. Like, the friends from Florida are now watching the show. We love the dub. We love the CFL. We love these things. But there's also an entire country watching on Game Plus television that didn't give a rat's petunia about those things. We talk about the NHL and the NFL and the CFL probably more than we should because we love it. And you're sitting here trying to make us feel bad. Stop trying to make us feel bad. You're a loser for trying to do that. If you don't like where we are in our lives, don't watch. Joel writes in. He is in Regina. He says, Happy Thanksgiving, Rod. Envious of the weather in Florida compared to what it is in Regina, the city that rhymes with fun. Enjoying your show. Thank you, Joel. You're a good guy. Noogs is watching, Clark. Yeah, Noogs. Yes. The Elliot Friedman of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. He writes in on the Yellow Terra Skincare text line. Would you rather live in a place where the plowing isn't great or live in a place where parking costs money? The plowing isn't great? I don't understand. Can you spell check your text, Noogsy? Because it's ironic that a writer would write in and I don't understand what he was saying. But we were comparing. Oh, his street hasn't been plowed forever. Oh, he can't get out? It's loaded with snow? Oh, would you rather live where the plowing isn't great or where parking costs money? That's a tough one. Where I live, I don't have to deal with either. And that's not bragging, Rocky. Damn. This has all been very carefully crafted. And, yeah, I had people 3 years ago. Have you lost your mind? Nope. I actually found it. Mandy at Edmonton says, my answers are now answered by the guest, but I didn't appreciate the rant with my name in it. Well, deal with it. So comparing CFL versus NFL, Freddie in Winnipeg writes, and he says, in my experiences, I went to a college football game in North Carolina, and it's not even close to NFL CFL pregame festivities. You can start tailgating blocks upon blocks away from the stadium, and the cops don't care because sports is a religion down there on football Saturdays. As long as you're having fun and don't get hurt and don't hurt anyone. By the way, don't get turkey wasted, boys. Happy USA Thanksgiving. Yeah, it's not comparable. That's the answer. It's not comparable. Sports update, NHL arenas are dark today as American hockey fans celebrate Thanksgiving. I'm reading from the Wire copy here. The league returns Friday with a busy 14-game schedule. 4 Canadian teams will continue road trips. Canucks visiting Buffalo, the Flames heading to Columbus, Jets stopping in Vegas, and the Oilers visiting Utah. Sports update for Seat Giants. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. We've got it all. Use promo code RPShow for 15% off now. Check us out at SeatGiant.ca. Randy from Winnipeg says, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the football. And I will leave that with everybody. You do the same. John in Winnipeg says, great show today. Love you, RP. Love you all, too. Those that are on the train, we'll see you back here tomorrow for a Football Friday. Be good.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.